All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm here with three people who have not been on the podcast before, but I know you have a lot of projects, between the three of you and independently as well that I've heard of over the years. And so it's cool to have you on. What I'm going to do to start this off is get the three of you to introduce yourselves and the project that you're all a member of, just so people can put a name to the voice and sort of figure out, who plays what instrument and figure out who you are. So, in any order you would like to do it, let's find out a bit about who you are as a group and then who you are individually.
I'm Will. I've played guitar, bass, keyboards, vocals, vocal arrangements, piano, lot of stuff.
Yeah, I figured it'd be a tricky question just looking at some of the credits on the
Yeah, exactly. I'm Joe. I on the records have done guitar, bass, drums, a little bit of piano. Whatever string arrangements you hear are usually me. Occasionally they're Nate, but mostly me. And I do all the production and mixing and mastering stuff.
And engineering.
And engineering, obviously.
Cool.
Yeah, for all the records.
Yeah, and I'm Nate, and I play piano, keyboards, organs, synths, trumpet,
glockenspiel.
Cool.
Really anything.
Well, I think it's interesting that you all have these like multiple instruments you play, because I was listening to the newest record today before we did this, and I don't really know how to define it. Like, I think there's so many different styles of music happening sort of within the one project that it sort of makes sense that everyone is so you're doing so much, right? Because it does seem like from song to song it almost switches styles pretty drastically in some cases. So, I mean, I hate this question and everyone hates answering it, but do you how do you define what this is that you make? What is the music you make? I mean, I know those different songs could have different descriptors, right?
May I?
Yeah, go for it.
You start.
Freaking fun. That is the music that we make. We had a little meeting to try and be like, okay, how are we gonna, label what we do? And honestly, it's we get together, we usually eat pizza, and then we'll have ice caps and we'll make a couple songs. That's
yeah.
And where it goes from there is where it goes from there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the pizza thing's no surprise either, but I want to get to the pizza in a minute. But
no, I think what I'll comment on is I think there's certain genres that we obviously gravitate toward a lot more. Generally on the first two records, it's a lot of singer-songwriter music from the 60s and the 70s. That definitely on the first one for sure. This one kind of goes a little bit more pop leaning at a couple points. It's just more accessible. I feel like on this one, I kind of figured out how to mix and kind of make us sound way more clean and accessible on this one, and in a good way. You can actually appreciate the song a little bit easier than you could on the first one, which was really, really messy, kind of on purpose. But I would say definitely throwback 60s and 70s for the most part. Occasionally we go kind of a little bit weirder, punkier, noisier on occasion.
Yeah, I like how that kind of sneaks in there. All of a sudden, there's this really kind of chill songs, and like you said, singer-songwriter type stuff, and then it gets really heavy for a minute and a half, and then goes back to. That was a nice shift. I liked it. Yeah. So I guess let's talk about the pizza thing. You have a whole record about pizza-related flavors and other pizza themes. What's the deal with that? Where does this come from? Is it just from eating pizza at practices and stuff, or?
That's and probably partially where the inspiration came from. The whole record started with coming up with a pizza related story, I guess, which is why there's so many interludes on the album with
right.
Weird voiceovers and background music and everything like that, because we wanted to actually kind of string the songs together, because that's where the songs were mostly inspired by, was that story that we kind of came up with, which I guess I originally kind of came up with most of it before COVID hit. And then we kind of fleshed out the story with songs from there. But we would always eat pizza. We all love pizza. I mean, it's in our blood in that way. So
it's undeniable.
Yeah. So yeah, no, a lot of it is it's inspired by that, but also it's just the first album kind of had a story in it as well, and then so it just kind of, we thought naturally this one's going to have one, or at least a theme, and then we're trying to kind of carry that through to the new stuff whenever we put out new stuff again as well. So
Is it difficult to? I mean, first of all, like a concept album, an album telling a story is fantastic. But is it difficult to release something like that nowadays when you know that most people are going to just sort of skip around or listen to it one chunk at a time, maybe miss some important interludes or other sections? Do you have to make the songs? You have to presumably make the songs stand on their own as well as being a part of a whole, right? Or no?
Yeah.
Or do you want people to just like?
no, I mean, yeah, I know that at the core, like, people are going to gravitate towards the songs. Like, I think, like, honestly, there's certain songs that we even feng shuied kind of into the story in a way where, actually the song has nothing to do with the story, but we found a way to include it. Like, which song?
Bald Backpacker Man.
Yes, that one he just wrote on his own. It was his own thing. He wrote that. It's about, he has his own story about that song.
Yeah.
And then I was like, we need to have this song come out, but there's no way it goes into the story at all. So I figured out a way to kind of, in the flow of the album, feng shui it in, so we could still have it on the album. It's still one of the most popular songs already on the record. So, like, people are obviously playing it because they like it. It's a good song. But I understand that there are other songs on the record too that people are just going to like because, we put them out beforehand.
Yeah.
People like them. Yeah. But you don't need to listen to the full album to kind of like those songs, right? But it's just for my own self. I wanted to have an album that had interludes and kind of had a through line that if a listener actually takes the time to listen to like the 50 minutes that it runs, you actually, there's kind of a resolution and there's kind of a through line through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Can you give a brief synopsis as to what the story is for people who maybe haven't heard the whole thing start to finish, or have done what you said and picked and chose, certain tracks?
Yeah, I don't know if I think I might give Nate a little bit of, I can fill in the gaps, but
well, it's basically centered around this psychotic pizza man who has a restaurant, and he's won this pizza competition, consecutively for, I don't know, years.
15 years, I think. I know,
like you do as a pizza man.
Of course.
What sets the thing off is he loses this competition
to his arch rivals.
Yeah, and it basically sends him into this psychotic breakdown that leads to murder and cannibalism. That's pretty much it.
As you do.
As you do in the pizza business, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And it's all set in Sicily. I feel like we need to say that. It's in Sicily.
Yeah.
Well, of course, it's pizza. Yeah, again. So, I mean, I guess something as ridiculous as that, though. I mean, like with the name of the band, too, people are not expecting to hear something, I guess, extremely serious concept-wise, right? I mean, I would assume anyway, when you're coming into this, you're not going to be like, oh, this is going to be, some kind of deep philosophical masterpiece.
But I think that's always been a thing with the band. It's always been like the album's about pizza, but you're not expecting to walk away with it being like, that was kind of a bop. and the band name is like, I'll be honest, it's off-putting.
Kind of intentionally.
Intentionally so. But you walk away from it, you're like, oh yeah, that was kind of a jam. I could get behind that. And then they see the name and they're like, okay, we'll give it time.
And it's weird because also I kind of intentionally wanted to give, it's an extremely silly story. It's stupid. But at the core of it, I also wanted there to be kind of like likable morals as well. Like things that you could like, oh yeah, like you can kind of pull away from. That's like kind of why the album is kind of bookended by songs that are very like, they're kind of talking just about the morals of the story, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, like taking work too seriously, kind of getting caught in a rut, needing to break the monotony of life, needing to appreciate the little things in life. That's a big part of the album as well, kind of like what the main character is not figuring out as the album progresses. So, there is that element of it too that I tried to do, but yeah, overall it's just silly.
Well, and it's nice to sneak that in too, sneaking in those kind of messages and actual like lessons you can learn from it, without making it, beating you over the head with it. Obviously, you're coming for the cannibalism and the pizza, and then if you leave with, it's like you've learned something, right?
So good.
I feel like this is going to be used in a criminal trial against us.
Is cannibalism funny to you?
I mean, it kind of is. What? Just to get away from cannibalism for a minute. What is the plan now? I mean, this came out not too long ago. Shows are kind of happening now for the most part. I mean, things have eased up a little bit since they've been shut down for the past couple of years. Are you guys planning on doing some shows to promote this, or have you formally released it at a show or anything like that yet?
We are having a show, like a small one, coming up on Saturday. Actually, this week we're gonna be playing at a house in South Osborne. I'm not sure how big the capacity is. I do know that it's $5 at the door. And yeah, it's going to be a small thing. It's going to be mostly me and Nate, kind of going through a lot of the first record, but some stuff off the new one too. Just to kind of have that would be the actual first time that we've ever played this stuff live. Because really the story of the project was we started recording the first album a long time ago. And then we eventually kind of got it together to where we felt like, okay, this is a project. And it wasn't even called Butterfist Funhouse. That wasn't even the album.
Okay.
We put it out in like mid-December 2019.
Yeah.
And then we saw that it started to like catch on Spotify. People were replaying it a lot. And then COVID happened. And then so we kind of we started working on the second album over COVID. So there was never really a chance to really explore gigs or anything like that.
Yeah. But we've played live shows together for so many years, like in every single in every capacity, just with different projects, and can you come in and sub on this thing, and can you sub in on this thing, and it's not a matter of like, it's not a matter of comfort. It's just a matter that we haven't gotten out there yet.
Well, one thing I was going to ask too is that, at the beginning you listed off this, extremely long list of all the instruments you play on the record. How does this, have you figured out how to make this work live? Like, do you need to bring in a whole extra crew of people to sort of fill in those gaps, or do songs work in a stripped down kind of way?
I think it works either way, kind of depending on the song. I mean, there's quite a few, like, for example, there's certain songs that we literally can't do unless certain people are there. Like, for example, like on the new one, there's a couple songs I really would love to play, like that Ball Packer Man and like I Got the Sauce live. But those are both Will's songs. I'm not gonna do those songs without him, and he can't make that gig. So we're gonna just stick to ones that me and Nate have fronted, which luckily we have plenty of. So that's not gonna be a problem. We'll have plenty for a full set. But like, in terms of like how we would do them live, I mean, we can basically do any iteration. We've done tons of shows where we've had different lineups, 3 people, we've had 3-piece, 4-piece, 5-piece lineups.
We were a 3-piece for years and years, like no bass player. And then we just started slowly adding people like as a different iteration. And then we all kind of went off and did our own different projects, and then kind of coming back together for this. So we don't know.
We'll see if there are more gigs in the future, which we're obviously open to. I just think we would like to be able to see what iterations of the group we can have going forward, and see what we can make work for sure.
Have you considered taking the pizza theme and finding some kind of tie-in? I mean, there's lots of restaurants that sell pizza. Maybe you could perform it in a pizza setting. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there is one that we have talked. I kind of want to talk about a little bit more. That Nate is also in a band called Campfire Psy, and they have played many shows at a place called Royal Pizza in the St. Vital area.
Okay.
And honestly, I would love it if Butterfist Funhouse played a show there at least once, because that would be perfect. But that would absolutely be something we need to explore.
Skip some songs, but
Might need to skip a few songs.
Yeah.
For sure.
What has the reception been so far? I mean, you were saying earlier that some of the previous stuff was getting a lot of attention on Spotify, things like that. Have you had a good response to this new one?
So far, it's been pretty good. The in terms of numbers, in terms of comments that I've had from people, it's been positive. a lot of the kind of like what was so amazing about the first one was just that it wasn't like with other releases where like, you know, you release it and you initially kind of get a little bit of a burst, like, oh yeah, people are really into it because you just put it out, and then immediately it's just
Yeah,
like
just
it completely goes away. This one was like the opposite. It was just a very steady, like people just kept replaying it. People just kept coming back to it. Now we've like gotten like so many comments over the years for that first one that was like, oh yeah, I love that record. Like, oh, that's actually like, we have like a friend of Nate's that says that that record is in like his top 10 favorite albums of all time. So
and we're like, why?
why?
like you know, put our heart and soul there, but why?
Yeah, so you know, there was that as well. So I think that people who liked the first one will definitely have been supportive of this one so far. And yeah, I think that I'm just hoping that, you know, wherever we go next, I think next we're gonna actually, I think, try to go somewhere a little bit different than the first two, which will be interesting. We've already kind of started planning the third one, but hopefully they're open to that. But so far the reception and the numbers and the overall like people that are interested in you know, seeing this keep going is pretty solid so far. So.
Yeah.
Is this kind of a perpetual project? I mean, I know you all have other things going on as well, but is this something that you're just always intending to do when the time and everything kind of makes itself available?
Yeah. It's, you know what? It's a really nice thing because like for Bald Backpacker Man, I wrote it on a construction site. And most of that song is not a lie. That's where I'll leave that. And there's no project that would ever take any song that's anything like that, except for one project will take every single one of those. So you don't like, often when you're songwriting, you'll be like, I need to write a song that fits this.
Sure.
Especially if you're writing for yourself, you're like, I want people to see me like this, so I'm gonna write like this, and then you kind of write yourself into a rut. But with Butterfist, there's no rut. Like every single song that you come up with is like, that somehow kind of works, even if it doesn't. It kind of does. Work. Yeah, it's like it will eventually work.
Yeah, I guess the three of you just kind of like together make it work, right? Like it's one of those projects where you can dump your leftovers and then rejuvenate them and turn them into something useful.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's almost like we can also kind of improve them for each other as well, like kind of fine tune them a little bit. Like one of the first song that I guess this project ever put out was a song that Nate had written for a completely different project. And was very different lyrically. And I was like, okay, I think the tune is good. I think we just need to change a couple of the lyrics, and then I think this could really work. And then we eventually, it was the first single from the original album, and like it's still probably I think it's one of the best songs we've ever done for the project. But it's like, it's kind of also a thing, where we can kind of like, we bring something and we're like, I don't know where this is supposed to go.
It's like this will not work in any band that I'm in. And
then we listen to it and we're like, you know what? we'll find it a home.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, that's kind of how it's worked so far, and that's kind of what the next album is kind of doing too. It's a lot of old songs that have kind of inspired that one as well. So yeah, that'll be interesting as well to see us writing new songs and adjusting old songs into another new project. So
is the writing on this project mainly each of you bringing in songs and then the rest kind of add to them, or are you writing as a group as well?
It's both.
6 1, half dozen the other. Like
sure.
Like there was a song that we wrote in Nate's garage over COVID, just when people could actually meet in like groups of 6 or groups of 10.
It was 5 or 10 or something.
It was a while back. It felt like 80 years ago.
Yeah.
And so that we kind of just, you know, collectively put our brains together. And then like there are songs that, again, we'll just write just on a whim and then bring them to the group and be like, yes. And they're like, yes. And then you're like, okay, well, let's go. But yeah,
I
there's
would say, yeah, I'm trying to think of like, there's been plenty of songs. There's actually been quite a few songwriters involved
yeah.
in in these albums. I would say the honorary fourth member is probably Graham Prosser, who's also a part of Campfire Sci. And he has done, like, he's on the new record. He played bass, and he also designed the cover art as well. And so he's kind of the honorary fourth member, I would say.
Yeah,
He's done
yeah.
quite a few songs, like co-writes with Nate, and just, I think one of the songs was literally his, and we just repurposed it for our album. There is that, and then there's like Chris Kilrea, Snarky Remarkable. He's a co-writer on one of the songs from the debut. A couple of other of Nate's friends. So there's a lot of kind of songwriters in the mix, but we don't really care as long as we are allowed to do with it.
Exactly. Like like if there isn't collaboration on the songwriting, there's always collaboration on the arranging or even the production, or hey, can we add this into here and see how it works? And then it's like, let's try it out. And then like there's always a level of collaboration. It doesn't ever feel like a one-man army. You're always kind of working together to kind of see your vision through a little bit.
That's probably what you want. I mean, I think it's an ideal situation, right? Where you don't have one person kind of dominating the proceedings and forcing others to bend to their will or whatever.
Yeah.
What's the best way at this point for people to hear this record? I mean, I know I listen to it on Bandcamp. I'm assuming it's all over the place on the usual places people find music. Where would you suggest someone check your stuff out if you had a choice in that decision?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, I think number one is Bandcamp is the best. It's the most ideal. It's the best way to support people directly, at least online anyway. We are going to try in the very, very near future to get this album on CD. Cool. We did it for the first one, and those CDs, we still have a few available, so that's not a problem if people are still interested in that, obviously. But yeah, Bandcamp, it is up on all the streaming platforms, and honestly, if people listen to it on Spotify and Apple Music and what have you, like, it's all good. YouTube Music, I guess. As long as people are listening to it, that's the number one thing. I just hope it reaches people and they get a couple laughs out of it, or at least are slightly confused.
Right on. And then as far as like finding out what you guys are up to, I mean, the good thing about this being a podcast is someone can listen to it this week, or they can listen to it a year from now. And by then you may very well have another record out or playing shows, things like that. What's the best way to keep in touch with what you're doing and sort of follow you online?
Butterfist Funhouse Instagram for sure.
Yeah, probably the Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we're all on Instagram. Me and Nate are definitely pretty active.
I am not.
You do not do anything.
Nope.
So,
Nope.
But definitely just Butterfist Funhouse, no spaces, just written out. If you want to, like, that's the handle on Instagram. And me and Nate are on Instagram and like Facebook. We have our own music pages as well. I mean, mine is just my name. On Instagram, I think it's just my name with a 3 instead of an E in Joe. And then I think yours is just your name, right?
Nate Jacobucci.
Yeah. That yours is just your name. So yeah, that's basically the number one way. But hopefully there'll be more stuff to post about in the near future with the CDs coming out and the show and all that good stuff. So there'll be some content.
Do you, before I let you go, do you want to plug any of your other projects? Because I know you all have other things going on in addition to this pizza related project.
Yeah, I mean, like, I have my solo music. Like, that's under my own name as well. That's more like hip hop stuff recently. The next record will be really weird, but mostly hip hop stuff for right now. And then I know you got your solo music.
Yeah, I have a solo album coming out on November 1st called Despair in a Cup, it's another lockdown album of sad songs. But other than that, I just put out our third album, Different Peninsulas. So that's the newest stuff for me.
And it kicks. Different Peninsulas is a good listen.
Very good.
It's rocking.
Thank you.
I mastered that, and it was very much a pleasure.
Awesome.